guys, welcome to another podcast for Earthworks Hub. I'm your host, Ivan Orlovic, and we're doing a live podcast. With me today, I have Rhys Malcolm from Malcolm Excavations. Thank you very much for joining us, Rhys.
Anytime.
That's it, man. Thank you. So you're from, I love saying this, is that Labatouche? Is that how you say it?
Labatouche, yeah.
Labatouche in Victoria.
Yeah.
That's I see the sign. Sometimes I've seen it as I've driven past.
Yeah.
And I just love saying it. I always say Labatouche. It sounds very like French.
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it?
It is, man. It is. And then when I was at Farm World, I saw they had some like cows in it that said like the Labatouche cow or whatever. I don't know. Like, is that the name of the actual like the places that have the cows, or what is that when they have that?
Yeah, I assume that's maybe a farm name, Labatouche Farms or something like that, or something along them lines. Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. And being in that area, I suppose do you know Lindsay, Simonic, and all that? Are they all from that sort of same area?
Yeah. We rode BMX and stuff, I suppose, at the skate park back in the younger days, and then Lindsay actually bought my 8-ton excavator off me when he first started out. That was his first machine. So, yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So,
we've known each other for a fair while now. We talk, weekly, regularly, a few phone calls here and there,
Yeah. That's good, I suppose. Yeah, networking is key, man, in our industry. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Yeah, so what does your company actually do? And how long's it been around?
We've been around for probably 7 years now. Do a variety of works. When I started out, did a lot of drainage. It was probably the first couple of years I did drainage. But always been, when you're starting out, you can't really say no to anything. So we'd do anything from civil drainage to just doing backyard jobs, really. Just depending on what comes through the door at the end of the day, to be honest.
Yeah. And what about like how did you start out? Like, have you guys been like excavating since you were little? Like, did your family have anything to do with it, or do you just start from scratch?
My old man, he was doing earth moving when I was growing up, so I used to go to work with him. He worked for a company, and on the weekends I'd go out and learn a bit, I guess, or try to learn a bit at the age of probably 8, I reckon.
Yeah.
And then probably 2001, he started his own company, and he went out on his own. And yeah, most of my weekends and school holidays entailed going out and doing earthman, I suppose, and trying to learn a bit and getting slapped on the wrist if I did it wrong.
Oh yeah, I know.
And then probably got to the age of 14, I guess, and hated school and wanted to work for him, but he neglected to give me a job. So I became a cabinet maker, and then after doing 3 years of cabinet making, I just threw in the towel, and I went and worked for a direct boring company.
Oh yeah.
Used to put in directional boring, doing underground power. So I did that, and it started out with just as little as digging entry holes and exit holes for the drill.
Yep.
And then I just from there I went and worked for EPH for a few months, and then from there I went and worked for a company called Vic Civil and did all sorts of civil works, and it was real good experience, I suppose, because we worked on so many different things, from Flinders Street Station been up on the roof of Flinders Street Station with a 0.8 ton digger.
Yeah.
And hammering up concrete, loading into wheelbarrows, and then other times I worked at like the Black Rock Golf Course on a 46-ton machine. So there was a lot of different projects that we worked on, and a lot of different works that we did. Really.
Yeah. Did you ever get a go on those on the actual drills, on the actual like the ditch witch drills and all that stuff?
I was pretty ignorant, to be honest,
Yeah.
and all I wanted to do was operate an excavator. So
Yeah.
no, I never got a chance to go on your Vermeer drills and stuff like that. And I did a bit of the tracking, but mainly just done the earth moving side of things, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. So when you say entry and exit holes, that's like the hole on one side of the road and the hole on the other.
Yeah.
So when they
So
go in, yeah.
yeah, just when they obviously enter the bore and then exit the bore, and yeah, and then when you do the exit bore, you swap over to the cutter head and then ream back, and when that was done, you pull the pipe and so on and so forth. So a fair bit of a process, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there you go, something different.
Yeah.
And then so when you said you went like to EPH and the other places, was that on your own machines or just still working for a company?
No, I worked direct for EPH. I was through them direct, operating their 5-ton machine and using their truck, and I rolled around in a Hino tandem with a 5-tonner in the back doing whatever they sent me to, really. But that was mainly working for concreters and doing raft slabs and as such. Yeah.
All the fun jobs, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly right.
How'd you find it with the concreters and that? What was your experience with them?
Yeah, like it was. I don't know. You sort of got to walk around eggshells most of the time.
Yes,
So
true. Yeah.
they were all older blokes. So me being the age of, I think I would have been maybe 21. A lot of them, you'd rock up and they sort of didn't want to give you the time of the day. They're like, "Who's this little kid that they've sent?" I asked for someone with experience. Not that they know me from a bar of soap, but yeah, it was always a challenge to try to prove myself, and yeah,
especially with the raft slabs now. I found, when you got to dig trenches and stuff, and they want them exact, and they want you to sand everything and get across all the trenches you've just dug, and then go back and help the other guy. Then no one wants to get that last bit of dirt out. They don't want to shovel. They're like, you go in there and get the corner, and then you blow the corner out, and then everyone's going off. Did you ever get that stuff?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, oh, we don't want to put any more than X amount extra concrete and so on and so forth, and you blow the ground out a little bit too much, and they're carrying on because they're like, oh, extra concrete.
Yeah.
It was always the way. Like, you can't really control the ground. You can only do what you can do at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So,
and what about?
And then it was quite easy to, if you didn't know what you're doing, to, I suppose, get up shit creek without a paddle. There's a lot of technique and process that goes into doing jobs like that, from having to work in certain areas and make sure you're putting everything in the right position so that you're not trying to track over dirt piles, and you're not trying to track over your foundations that you've dug out for.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, every time when I used to work for plant hire agencies with my machines, if they sent me a message and said you're going to work for concreters, I used to cringe. I used to be like, oh no, oh no.
Yeah.
And you get there and then you don't know what to expect. Sometimes they'll be really good guys, and then sometimes they'll be just like go 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And then you hit a pipe or something, and then it's all over, and everyone's yelling on site.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it was always a challenge to try see if you could complete the job without busting a pipe. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think there's many of us been in the same boat, man.
Yeah. exactly right.
So what about what machines did you start with? So have you got any of your own machines now?
Yeah, I've got a 15-ton machine and a posi track, a semi with a float, and I just bought a tandem tipper. So yeah, got a few things.
All right.
Yeah.
What'd you start with? Yeah, what was like your first machine? Was it the 8-tonner you said?
Nah, so actually, the first thing I bought was a tandem tipper.
Yep.
When I left Big Civil, and from there I used to rent, hire, dry hire, whatever you say, my old man's 5-tonner off him. So do that, and anyway, after probably I think 4 months or so of running, I went out and bought a brand new Komatsu 5-ton excavator, and then that was because I obtained a job digging drainage for like 3 months, which was a good win, when you're just starting out. So that was good, and that helped me push myself to go get a brand new machine, and started out with that, and I had that for probably 2 years, and then I went and bought the 8-ton Komatsu as well.
Yeah. Was that a PC78? Was it?
No, it was a PC 88. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the 78s are the fixed boom ones, where the 88s are the knuckle boom.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went and bought that, and anyway, the first truck I had, that burnt down. So once that burnt down, I was sort of left. Yeah, it left a big hole, and I was in a financial position where it was sort of keep the 8-tonner or have to sell the 8-tonner and go buy another truck, which I ended up selling the 8-tonner to me mate Lindsay.
Yep.
And ended up buying another truck instead. So yeah.
Uh-huh. So then, and then what's that? Was that like another tipper or?
Yeah, so I went and bought a Western Star tandem tipper.
Yeah. So what'd you do? Just more tipper work then after that?
No, because I still had the 5-tonner, so I still. Yeah, a lot of the time once I got the excavator, it was more doing a bit of combo work, or just using it just as a float, because having a float is probably one of the best things you can do. You can move places at the drop of a hat without just being stuck and having to call a float. And then they're like, oh yeah, we get there at 9, then they get there at 12, and then they get into the next job, and then it's too late. So it's all about being able to, I suppose, be versatile, and you can move yourself around. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what about after that? So what made you buy, what made you keep getting more machines?
So after that, I bought posi track, just for the same sort of thing, just to make myself more versatile. I could run posi tandem tipper combo, posi digger combo, truck and digger combo. Just just another feather under the cap, because it's, to me, it's all about not being a one-trick pony. You got to be able to do multiple things, because otherwise, what are you good for, really?
Yeah.
And then anyway, so I bought the posi, and then I ended up getting divorced. So I guess you'd say I had a bit of a meltdown. And
that's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got rid of everything, and sort of, I don't know what you call it, had a little bit of a holiday, I guess, and I probably moseyed around for about 3-4 months, just doing a bit of subcontractor work, sitting on other people's machines and so on and so forth. And then that's when I decided that I'd buy the 15 tonner, and I went and bought that.
Yeah. So what is that? Is it a Komatsu?
Yeah, Komatsu.
Yeah. And what made you buy that? Like, why go from like the 5 to a 15?
But it was mainly just I got sick of sort of probably being on the go all the time. With the 5 tonner work, as much as I did a lot of long term stuff, it was always go here, go there, and you're always trying to go into tight spaces. And a lot of the work that I'd done in previous years was just all tight work, and I just wanted to get out in the open, I suppose, and do something that, it was just something different, because a lot of the work that I've done was just raft slabs and drainage, really.
Yeah. So with the 15, what sort of work were you doing after that? Like, did that get you into like civil sites, or did you do like site cuts and that? Or, like,
Oh, I just end up doing drainage again on a bigger scale for the same company. So it mainly just entailed just doing drainage, and then on the side, I guess when I could, I was doing a few cuts.
Yeah. No, cool. And is that why you bought the float truck later on? Is that so you can move your 15 around?
Yeah, I originally bought a semi tipper, and that didn't work out.
Yeah.
So that's when I got stuck with just the truck, really. And then instead of selling the truck, I went and bought a float so I could move myself around. And um, it was handy. Same thing at the drop of a hat, where someone like, I need a 15, and if you had to wait for a float, it was like, well, you can kiss that opportunity goodbye, because there's just too much mucking around, especially for a 1 day job. That was the
Yeah.
problem. And then depending on the distance you're traveling to get to that job as well, whether it was going to be worth it too.
Yeah.
Because most clients, probably, as you know, they kick up a bit of a stink about the float fee. But unfortunately, trucks don't run on fresh air.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, man. Yeah, no, I know. I hear exactly what you're saying, man. Yeah, because when I had my 20s and 13s and all that, it was the same thing. Yeah, I had to wait for floats. I didn't have my own, and your customers are always complaining. Then there's that argument about if you're not there for more than like a few days, then you can charge them 2 ways, and then that straight away fire up. And no, we'll let you just leave it here until you get your next job and all that. Yeah, just
And that
awkward.
was the
Man.
other thing too. With those big jobs, there are always delays. So
Yeah,
you might get that 1 or 2 day job, and they're saying, "Oh, we don't need you for a week," and you're trying to weigh up whether it's worth leaving the machine there for the week and hoping that they're going to come through,
yeah,
or whether you end up floating out and go and doing that. But then, like I said, you end up going out to the next job, and then by the time you pay float fees and your fuel and so on and so forth, it doesn't really work out worth your time, and a whole lot of extra stress for no reason.
yeah. So true. And then so I suppose having a truck that sort of size and being in the area you're in, so you're probably living on a bit larger land, is it? Do you
Yeah,
like?
yeah. I live on 20 acres, but I originally was leaving at a transport company's yard, and then
Oh, okay.
a mate of mine, aka Earth Moving, he ended up getting 70 acres in Bunyip. So we made that into a bit of a yard. So I'll leave that down there, which is pretty
Oh,
handy.
oh, yeah. Oh, I think he was trying to join before. I think he was on here
Probably.
before you came. But he was trying to join the live. I was like, no, we can't. Yeah, next time, next time.
Yeah,
Um, tell him,
yeah,
tell him next time he can be on.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it's true, because that's the other thing. A lot of people get trucks, and like a lot of you guys used to say to me, "Oh, I'm just going to go get my own truck and my own machine and that." And I used to say, "Yeah, but have you thought about where you're going to store it? Because
yeah. Exactly
you don't
right.
have a bit of land and that, you may not be able to store it where you are, So you got to think about where you're going to put it, and then you got to pay for that too. And then there's
Yeah,
different things, man.
yeah. Well, yeah. When I was living in Warrigal, when I had my place in Warrigal, I used to. A lot of my work was towards the city, so I'd leave my truck and float at a yard in Pakenham, and at least that way I just kept the running costs down and the wear and tear, because I'd drive to Pakenham, grab my truck, and then I'd head to the city from there.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, so then you
Yeah.
just drive the car the rest of the way.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And what about workers? Like, have you had any workers, or do you have any at the moment?
Oh, I've mainly just had subcontractors working with me over the years. But I recently put on a worker probably 4 weeks ago now. So
All right.
yeah, just to
And what?
cope with that workload, and just even the little things of just give me a hand to wash trucks or tie down machines when you're doing a float shift, or just a lot of little things that you can do by yourself, but by the time you do it out of your work hours, of whether you get back to the yard at 5 o'clock and then you're washing the truck for 2 hours, or anything like that, it just, you lose so much time, where if you work out probably the numbers, it probably works out a hell of a lot better to just have someone for that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was good to put on one of my mates who was always interested in working for me, and like he's happy to do anything really. Like, he's not just like, oh, I want to sit in a 15 tonner and that's it, or I only want to drive a truck and that's it. So it's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Has so what was the reason you didn't put anyone on before? Is it you just didn't feel like the need to do it, or you just didn't want to do it at all?
Uh, I think it was a lot to do with second guessing myself,
Yeah.
and yeah, probably just talking myself out of it, really, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just sort of probably thought, when times get quiet, what am I going to do? And I didn't really want to let people down. And then there was the whole thing of, I, are they going to be up to the standard that I want, and all that sort of stuff, which I just used to overthink. And then it probably just held me back, I suppose, in that regard.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that, because I just recently interviewed someone from a like a personnel agency, like a recruitment agency, and he was saying that when you really think about it, a lot of us haven't actually been trained on how to handle employees and that, and then we just go by the way that we've been treated by someone,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
from what we've seen or what we hear. So a lot of us just play it by ear,
Yeah.
and then it can actually be like a disaster. It can work out, but it could be a disaster as well. Yeah, you don't know how to do things.
Yeah, and I think that was the other thing too, is trying to, I don't know, I suppose, like, maybe a lot of older blokes don't want to be told what to do, and you got to find someone that's willing to learn, but then you don't want to find someone that you're going to teach that's gonna just go leaving you in 12 months' time as well. Like, and for me, with the worker that I put on, he was more than happy to just sort of work for the brand, really, not for having to be on a certain machine or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. We've got some people making comments here. Can you see the comments as well?
Yeah,
Yeah,
CJB.
yeah, that's good,
Yeah,
man. He's saying, so CJB Excavations is saying, love your work, Rhys, old school mentality in the new world. So
yeah,
you're getting some good positive stuff there, man. That's good. That's
yeah.
good. So anyone's welcome to us.
CJB and I have
Yeah,
kept in touch over the terms of my work, and I've done a few jobs for CJB, and he's recommended me to a few people, and it's been really good.
yeah. And that's what I was going to say before. How important is it to be good with the community, like, and networking and stuff? How important is that? What do you think?
Yeah, well, like I always say, like, you can have all the signs, you can have all the stickers and all the clothing and everything like that, but at the end of the day, word of mouth will trump all of that stuff. A lot of people always want to know what they're getting, I suppose, and if someone can say, I guarantee that this bloke's going to do what you want to do or want to achieve, then that's worth more than any sticker or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. No, well said, man. Well said. How did you get your first job? So what advice would you give to someone that's starting out? with their own excavation business? Like, what would you say to them? The best way to try and find work?
Like I think personally for me, the best thing you could do is it probably just network, I suppose. I spent a lot of time always sort of keeping in touch with people I knew and so on and so forth. And when I actually started my company, I didn't have I didn't even have any work lined up. I just wanted to give it a go, and always sort of thought, well, plant hire could be a backup and so on and so forth. And once I bought that truck that I had, I I just made some phone calls to people that I knew in the industry, and they supplied me some work. And then once I actually ran into a bloke where I used to ride BMX with his brother, and he's got an earth moving company. Shout out to Earthcut Constructions, Ryan. And ran into him at the servo one day, and we had a bit of a yarn. And it was probably a couple of hours after that, he rang me up and said, "Oh, what are you doing tomorrow?" And I said, "Nothing." And he goes, "Oh, lock us in." I was like, "All right, no worries." And that sort of snowballed, and that went on for probably 3 or 4 months, I reckon. And then that's when I decided to give the I forget what it's called now, but it was like an agency a go where they obviously send you leads,
Oh,
and I gave that a go.
oh, like I see plant and all that.
Yeah,
See,
it was
one of
something
those.
along the lines of that. It was that
Yeah,
long I forgot.
yeah,
But anyway, I gave one of them a go, and when I gave one of them a go, there was a job that I thought I could probably do, and it was in Heidelberg. It was a fair hike from Warragul, but I was like, well, I'm starting out, and anyway, I applied for it, and I rang him up, and I just sort of gave him a bit of a spiel on um, what I could do, and so on and so forth, and yeah, I ended up winning the job, and it was supposed to be a 3 month job, which is what I based buying my 5 ton excavator off,
yep.
and yeah, I won that and did the 3 months, and that snowballed into 6 months. And then from there, they said, "Oh, we've got another job down at HMA Cerberus. Would you be interested in going down there and giving them a hand?" And I said, "Yeah, no worries." So I went down there, and then that snowballed for like another year or so. So that worked out pretty well, and that ended up getting me through that whole COVID fucking bullshit.
I was
Yeah,
going to ask you about COVID next, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How did you go through that period? How was it for you, man?
It was actually pretty good. I was working 7 days a week still, to be honest. I think the only one time was when the CFMU or whatever went up, decided to go on a rally,
Yeah,
and then they locked all the workplaces down,
yeah,
construction and all, for one week or whatever it was,
yeah,
and that was probably the only time I stopped. But other than that, yeah, I worked pretty much 5 to 7 days a week the whole time. So
yeah.
it was really good, and I was lucky to be able to do so.
Yeah, well, I reckon most guys in the industry said they were the same thing. They were flat out during that period. And then a lot of guys were saying it was really good because there was no traffic on the road. It was actually, you could get heaps done and, get there on time without leaving an hour earlier just to get somewhere.
Yeah,
So I
well,
suppose that had its positives.
yeah, exactly right. And like obviously, when they set up that whole Ring of Steel bullshit and whatever they were
Yeah.
doing, uh, I was currently living in at Pakenham at the time, and but my license still said Warragul, so I could still sneak through here and there.
Yeah.
And but like you'd pull up at that Ring of Steel, whatever. Oh, what are you doing? And I'd be in a truck and float with machinery on. It's like, well, I'm going to work, mate. What do you think I'm doing?
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to the pub. It's fucking 7 a.m.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. That was a strange period, man, and
Oh,
I hope we don't have to go through
yeah.
that crap again, because
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
mate. Oh, yeah.
so
Yeah.
strange, man. I never would have imagined that the world could be the way it was then. It was just crazy, and the way people changed and stuff. It was just so. just a weird time, man. Very weird.
Yeah, that's for sure, 100%.
What about, let's talk a bit about technology now. So tell us, do you use any GPS or anything like that on your machines?
I don't run any GPS systems. When I originally bought the 15, a lot of people said, you need to get GPS. It's the way of the future. You're not going to get any work without it, or you'll limit yourself a lot if you didn't have it. So when I got the 15, I ended up wiring it for TopCon, and have never used it ever since.
That's funny. It's
So I was, I could have gone and maybe chased it, but at the same time too, I didn't even have the experience. So that was always hard to get the experience because the previous people I'd worked for, they didn't run GPS either, and my whole life I sort of just grew up learning the old school way. So yeah, I just never went down that path, to be honest.
Yeah. No, and that's fair enough. I think technology can be good, but it also if you don't really need it and don't want to invest that money, and you've been surviving till now, then I suppose you just keep rolling with the punches, man. Just until it comes to that time that you have to.
In my personal opinion, I think it makes the good operators probably excellent, and it probably makes the shit operators good. So
yeah,
and like myself and Lindsay, we've talked about it a few times where because he was using a lot of GPS. Doing the works that he was doing, and he was saying how great it is to now be able to go back to just using the GP gas, I guess
that's
call it instead,
that's
and get reverting back to the old school ways where you use all those skills that you were taught, I suppose, and he just said like even that took to go backwards in that it took a lot to get used to because he didn't realize how much he relied on the GPS, I suppose.
Yeah. That's a good point, I suppose. Yeah, once you rely on something like for instance, I got tilt hitches put on my machines, and then now it's like I can't work without them. As soon as I go on the machine without one, I hate it. I'm like, oh, I need a tilt hitch. If I had one, I could do this now. So yeah, you sort of do get used to it. You get complacent.
Yeah, well, I was lucky that when I grew up, I was working with people that tilt hitches were very, very rare. You were lucky to see a tilt hitch and even a blade on a machine. You'd never really see that. And my old man, he's never ran a blade or a tilt, so I always got taught, pick your tracks up and all the little things that I suppose people, when they say that, oh, I can operate, it sort of sorts the men from the boys where they would never taught all the little things, but they think that because they can move some joysticks and move them quickly and not jerk the machine around or whatever, they think that they're, a pro operator, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, what advice would you give to someone that hasn't got any experience and wants to start out operating? What would you say to someone?
Personally, I'd say spend a lot of time on the ground. To me, spending a lot of time on the ground and instead of watching your phone, probably watch the operator, I guess.
Yeah.
Because everyone does things different and has different procedures. And I learned that from my father, where he wasn't really interested in giving me a job. He just said, "Go learn off everyone else. Like I can teach you X amount, but you're going to learn more elsewhere." And that's what I did. I went and learned through a lot of different people and spent a lot of time in. I'd be in the trench with a shovel, playing around assets, and then watching everything an operator would do. So it is good to be in the machine and learn the controls, but to me, a lot of the learning comes from watching people and how they go about things.
Yeah. I think that's good advice. Yeah, solid. And that's what other people have said too. And I agree, man. Like I think when I was starting, people were telling me like, oh, you can have to go out and start on the grounds, and I used to say, oh, I'm not doing that shit, man. I don't want to do that. But
Yeah.
you have to, man, and that's how you learn. And even when I'm digging, I watch other people, other machines, and see what they're doing. And I remember being on like big civil subdivisions, and there used to be guys that have been doing it for like 30, 40 years, sitting in machines, and I'll be watching them going, far out, look at that, man, look how neat he's doing it, look how clean. And then they're like doing things more efficiently, carrying a pipe as they go back and forth and doing stuff. And then, just watching people, I suppose, you're right, is the best way.
Oh, efficiency and productivity is everything when you're doing earth moving, from having like you said, whether you're going tracking somewhere to get something and then you go, oh, I'll grab that while I'm there too, or like taking all your buckets with you if you're going a decent distance because, you're just flowing out your track here by having to track back and get a bucket, or, not having to put material where you're going to have to triple handle it even. So triple handle it, double handle it, whatever you want to do. Like, that's all the things that you learn, and that generally doesn't come from sitting in the seat. It comes from watching other people.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. What is your favorite machine? So out of all the stuff that you've had, which one would be your favorite?
Look, probably hard to say. Probably the 15, I reckon.
Yeah,
That was my first machine with a tilt hitch. Yeah, and like I said, when I bought that machine, it sort of took me out on different sort of adventures, I suppose, and doing different works, which was really good.
Yeah. I think they are. I think that most people will probably say that. Like most guys that have got small machines will say, "Oh, I think a 15 will be the best because then it's a good all rounder." And a lot of guys with large machines will say 15 because they think, "Oh, it's a bit smaller, you can do different jobs with it."
Yeah.
So I think they're always they're that good sort of range machine. Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the 8-tonner as well, but I found that the 8-tonner was sort of a size where it was hard to get work for because, a lot of people would cop, oh, have you got a 5 or have you got a 14? No one really asked for an 8-tonner.
Yeah.
I always found it was more of a machine that if you had your own sort of work, you had that because that was the middle ground, I suppose you'd call it, because you could do that 5-ton work, but then you could do the 14-ton of work, So, yeah, like it was a really good machine, but yeah, like I said, it was very hard to get the work for that machine.
Yeah. It is. It's almost like the odd size. I mean, you get Jack from EMBE. He'll be jumping all over this, going, no, he's got an 8-tonner. So he'll be going, no, you can get work. I suppose you can. Once maybe people get to know, you've got like a circle where they go, oh yeah, use him because he's pretty good with the 8. I suppose then it would work. But most people, traditionally would expect you to have a 5 or a 15. You know what I mean? It's like not really in between. I bought an 8-tonner. I had the PC 78. And so things I found was one that didn't fit in the tipper, so it was a pain in the ass because you couldn't get it just to float it around. So you still had to get a float anyway. And then the other thing is, I just it was that, like you say, it was that odd size. They always say to me, "No, have you got a 5?" And I'm like, "No, I've got an 8." And they're like, "No, we need a 5." I'm like, so same one. Yeah.
And then there's also like the way the world's going at the moment, where every block keeps shrinking. Like back in the day, if you had 1,000 square block, you could probably do your drainage and your concrete with an 8-tonner, and it was really good. But then, a lot of the blocks now are 300-400 squares, so trying to get an 8-tonner in there it's sort of impractical, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I missed a comment here from someone on grade 145 on TikTok. He just said about our GPS comment. GPS work makes everything neat now for machines. Oh, he's saying the GPS nowadays makes everything like pretty neat for the machines. So I suppose it does in some way. Like it makes it a bit neater, less labourers around and stuff. It's all in the computers now, so it would make things a bit easier. Yeah.
Each to their own, I suppose. Like, it definitely is good, but everything's got its strong suits and its downsides, I suppose.
Yeah. And it depends what work you're doing as well, I suppose. Yeah,
I definitely don't think it defines the quality of work you do, though, either.
Yeah. You still got to know you're still going to be a good operator either way, man. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to get it nice and detailed and get repeat work, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good.
Right. Yeah.
All right. And then how's it been with your employees so far? Like, has that made you learn how to do like all the pay slips and this and all about learn all about the super and all that stuff? Like, is that making things a little bit different for you?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely an eye opener and learning all those extra sort of things, I suppose, where, it's all good to say, oh, I can pay him X amount per week, but there's all the other things on top of that which add up, I suppose, that you probably don't really think about at the start, but by the time you add all your supers and your PAYGs and
Yeah.
everything like that, yeah. So it is eye opening in that regard for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And what about like social media and stuff? How does that help you with your business? Does it actually help you at all, or do you just post just to sort of show some of the work you do?
Um, I've been on and off social media a lot over the years. Um, it's sort of really never got too much work for myself. Um, I got probably maybe a handful of jobs, I reckon, off social media where someone said, "Oh, I've seen you do this," or someone said to give you a call, or so on. Like it's never really been a massive influx of work that's stemmed from social media, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's more
Um,
just probably about showing off what I can do, to be honest.
yeah. Yeah. And what about like what are your ambitions for the company, man? Where do you see yourself going?
Um, I- I- Probably, I'd like to have maybe a few blokes and just do quoted work and do civil sort of work and all that sort of stuff. Like I don't really want to. Well, I'll do anything at the end of the day because that's just what you got to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to turn my nose up, that's for sure. But yeah, a lot of the work I'm doing at the moment, it's like chicken shed farms where I'm trying to do slabs or pre-slabs for the chicken sheds and drainage and all that sort of stuff, which is what I enjoy, is doing all that sort of stuff. It's a good mixture of work, really.
Yeah. Do you see yourself like getting bigger, like getting more and more workers and more machines, or are you sort of happy to stay as you are?
Um, I just guess take it as it comes, I suppose. It just really depends. Like I definitely wouldn't overcapitalise and try to have 50,000 blokes working for me, but
Yeah.
if that's the way the world went, then I would. But I try to use subcontractors that I could bring them up with me, I suppose, and give them work. And I feel like a lot of the time the subcontractors probably do a lot better work than the employees.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's that it's that balance. It might cost you a little bit more maybe, and then but you know it's going to get done. Yeah, I suppose because
Yeah,
they're
exactly
experienced and
right. At the end of the day, I'd rather produce good work, I suppose, and know that I don't have to baby someone at the end of the day. Yeah, because that's probably the biggest thing. I don't really want to be standing there watching every single move that someone makes, which I learned about. I learned when I was, working in with my old man, when I was trying to get on with him, and he's like, "Well, I can't stand and watch you all day." So that was probably one of the things I learnt, was that yeah, you don't want to, yeah, bro, just spend all your time out of the machine having to point someone in the right direction, I suppose.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. I suppose that's why you're better off sometimes just getting the subby in and they know what they're doing. Have you ever had like any dramas with like any customers? Have you ever had any like big problems or any stories you can tell us of something that's happened?
Yeah, well, there's always going to be downsides, I suppose. From as little as uh, I've quoted driveways and stuff before, and said that we're going to bring in X amount of trucks rather than X amount of ton, and then they've said, oh, there's only 5 trucks, and it's like, well, were they quad dogs or were they 5 axles, or it was more about the tonnage than the trucks.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably a bit of an eye opener, and then I tried working in with people that I knew as well. People that I considered friends that also done me in. Like not paying me, and even not paying me for, like, I sold someone a ute, and I was trying to help them out because I consider them a good friend, and they never ended up paying me for they paid half or whatever for the ute, and then just kept telling me it was coming, but it never rocked up.
Yeah, that old chestnut. Yeah.
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 And then same thing, like I did another job, and just at the end of the day, you can only do, I suppose, the best you can, and you're governed by climate and so on and so forth. But some people are just unrealistic, and they just keep coming at you, I suppose, and trying to get every little bit of energy and money out of you, whether you're just wasting time and resources or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I was going to also say, yeah, like, is there any advice you could tell people with businesses similar to ours or to yours, like, to look out for? If there's something, but you probably said some things already there. Yeah, be careful to make sure you get paid. Do you get deposits and things before you work, or do you do mostly hourly hire stuff?
Um, I don't do so much hourly hire these days. A lot of the stuff I do now is quoted, but I guess it just depends on the actual customer themselves, I suppose, where if I do have a good ongoing relationship with them already, I don't ask for a deposit, but I'll ask for a progress payment once we get underway.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then from there, like a new client, I would ask for a deposit, I suppose. At least probably, you get 25%, but it also depends on what the job entails. Whether it's if you got to go out laying a lot of materials, I suppose you don't really want to be having to fork that out of your own pocket and then find out you're not going to get paid.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. That's good. Yeah, because sometimes I used to do that. I used to just say, just I don't want a deposit, but at least give me something at the end of the day, at the end of the first day, or once we get to a certain level or whatever. Just like you say, some sort of progress, just to show that they are actually going to give you something.
Yeah, well, I think that realistically, if anyone doesn't want to do that for you, then they probably don't intend on paying you at the end of the day.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go, man. That's good. That's good. What about, have you got any other questions? Like, what about yourself? Have you got something you want to ask, or have I not asked something that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, no, not really. Not off the top of my head, no.
Yeah, yeah, no, good. No, it seems to be that we're all very similar. Like, everyone I talk to, we're all in the same boat. We all have similar issues. What's it like with tip sites and that where you are? Because I know it's getting hard. Like, we're here in the West, and there's like not many tips. Then you got to have declarations, and then they want all these signs behind every bit of soil you bring in. How is it up in your end?
To be honest, I don't do too much of that work where I'm relying on taking the materials into a tip. A
Yeah,
lot of the stuff that I do, it ends up it's more just tipping on private property, I suppose.
yeah. So you
Which
just leave it on site.
yeah, which is few and far between as well. Like trying to find a free tip site or whatever, it's always hard to find. So and then even then, you don't want to take advantage of that either. You want to make sure you can do everything you can to keep that under your belt. But yeah, I haven't done too much of dealing with tips, but I know that it is getting out of hand.
Yeah, yeah,
And a lot of the prices is just because they got to pass that on to the customer because they're being put through the ringer too. With all the permits and you're trying to keep everyone happy, whether it's a water truck watering down a dirt road or water truck watering down an asphalt road because there's mud coming out of the tip, so
Yeah,
there's all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely becoming hard to disperse of material for sure.
yeah, yeah. And I suppose all the compaction testing and this year they got there's a fair bit that goes on at tips. I suppose people don't really think about that.
Yeah. It's not just drive in and they blaze it over with the dozer and then see you later.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
they've got rules to abide by as well.
yeah, true. So what about if you couldn't do excavating? Just say you couldn't. This wasn't one of the choices you could have. What do you reckon? What else would you be doing? What other type of work you reckon?
I don't know. Probably diesel mechanic, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know because I think anything that I did other than earth movement would be probably because of money, I suppose.
yeah. What about your
Yeah.
dream job? What would be the dream job, man?
Oh, probably open a cafe and serve coffees, or sit in the corner and get other people to serve coffees to the customers, and I'll just drink the coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
That's
Right,
that's probably about it, I reckon.
what about this? So, is it Gedya? Is that how you say it? Or Getty? Getty Excavations? Is you saying you could go on OnlyFans? There you go.
No, that's definitely not my forte.
No.
That's for sure.
You never know. It
Not
could be good money out here anyway. Yeah.
not speaking from experience.
No, no. Well, apparently, there's this thing that people can take photos of their feet, even like stuff like that. Like it doesn't have to be all sexual, but yeah, apparently guys take photos of their feet and make money. I don't know. I don't know. That's a total different world. We won't go there, but apparently it's good money.
Yeah,
So
you can blame technology and social media for that.
yeah, man, yeah. Some people got too much time on their hands, and I don't know, but they're doing it. They're making money, so I suppose if they're doing it, good on them.
Everyone's got everyone's got to have a hobby or the right to earn an honest living, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it. Have you ever worked like outside of Victoria? Like, have you gone anywhere for work, like mines or overseas or something?
No, I've never done that. Probably the first I've gone is probably over the Westgate, I reckon.
Yeah.
That was far enough for me. That felt like I needed a visa for that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the bloody Westgate Bridge, I tell you, and it's getting
Yeah.
worse. The traffic's a nightmare on that thing, I tell you, and the tunnel.
Yeah,
Crazy.
no, I've never gone to the mines, and I've never gone out of state for work. So not something I wouldn't be not interested in, I suppose. But
Yeah.
I just never really had the opportunity, I guess.
Yeah. Because I've had some mates that recently got like shuffled around to different places, and they were saying a lot of people would probably get upset with that, but they've said they've taken it the other way and said, well, you know what, it's an opportunity to go see something else, live away from home for a bit, have a break from the family for a bit, and then go back and see them on the weekend, and then but only for a short time, no, they wouldn't do it forever.
Yeah,
And they've just said we've taken that as a positive,
yeah. When I first started out, I'd just work anywhere, and I did do a lot of work, probably in the city and over the other side of the Westgate to the western suburbs and the northern suburbs and so on and so forth. And I've been really lucky to reel that in over the last probably year or so and be working in the Gippsland region, which has been really good.
Yeah. You can get caught sometimes. That's what happened to me because I'm from the west, and then I started getting a lot of jobs out in like Beaconsfield, Pakenham, Clyde, and that'd take me like in traffic nearly 2 hours sometimes. And then
Yeah,
the worst thing is though, while I was working there, I'd pick up another customer there in the same area, then another one, and I'd get all these builders from that area, and suddenly all my work's there. And I used to always say I should just move over there because all my customers are there. But
yeah,
then slowly I had to like,
and then you move over there, and then all your customers from the other side come back around. So
yeah,
at
it's
the end
true,
of the
man.
day, like you can't have your cake and eat it too, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And you're always, when you're in someone's backyard, you're going to be obviously spotted, and you're probably going to get into the next backyard, and that's how a lot of the work comes around, I suppose. Like I said, word of mouth. At the end of the day, they can see that the proof's in the pudding, so more than happy to use that. Whether you've got no stickers or no business card or whatever, they can see what you've delivered. So that's Christmas for them.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That is true. All right. I think I'm all questioned out. I'm looking through my list here. I think I've asked nearly everything. If I've missed something, anyone else want to ask anything before we finish up from all the people watching? If anyone has any questions, now's your chance.
Yeah, Steve Getty looks like he's going pretty hard on there.
He loves it. He loves it. Yeah, they made a few other comments there. I won't read those out. I'll leave them. Yeah. But yeah, no, I enjoyed the chat. It was really, really good. You sound like a very humble sort of guy, just working, going through the system, doing what you got to do, and it's good that like the guys were saying before, sometimes old school mentality is maybe the way to go. Maybe we don't have to be going 100 miles an hour and trying to get massive and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, at the end of the day, everyone has their own theories, I suppose. So, and all we can do is give it a crack and see where it takes you. At the end of the day, like, what's the worst that can happen? I suppose.
Yeah. Saying, how do we get a Malcolm? Yeah.
Taking him as a hat, or I don't know, maybe me.
Maybe it means you, or maybe the hat. We'll see. I don't know. Nowadays, you
There
never
you
know.
go. He's corrected himself.
He wants a Malcolm hat. There you go.
Yeah, well, maybe he can make the effort and come and see me.
There you go. There you go. There you go. The offer's there, Getty. Oh, yeah. Cool.
Make sure he brings the coffees.
Yeah. That's it. Man. Well, Rhys, I really appreciate you coming on the show and having a bit of a chat. So thanks for coming on and sharing your no worries, sharing your experiences. To anyone else that is keen to come on, let me know. Hit me up. We've got a big lineup already, so I'm happy to keep adding people in, listening to different stories, sharing everyone's ideas and things like that. So definitely send me a message if you want to jump on. And it doesn't matter; it don't have to be just in excavation, anything, even if it's just general construction and that. Let's spread it, man. We'll get people from everywhere on here. For anyone that isn't already aware, these are all posted up on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So you can see all this after the show. So if you missed something and you want to go back and listen to it, if you didn't attend the live, this will be up and posted in the next couple of days. And if people want to get in touch with you, Rhys, what's the best way to get in touch with you if they need something?
Probably, I guess, by phone, I suppose, or by Instagram.
Yep.
Either of the two. Or, I don't really... I've got a Facebook page, but I don't really do too much on there. So probably Instagram or a phone call or a text message would be the best option.
There you go. That's it. All right. So, Rhys Malcolm from Malcolm Excavations, thank you very much for joining us. To everyone else, thank you again for joining us as well. To all my sponsors, thank you very much, and they'll be all listed on the description for this video. So don't forget to use the discount codes. That's what they're there for. They're for all of us to use and to benefit from. If anyone's keen on becoming a sponsor, hit me up as well, and we shall chat. And Rhys, once again, man, thank you very much.
Anytime.
Have a good week, and everyone else, we'll see you on the next episode. Take care, guys. See you, Rhys.
See you, mate. Bye.